This is a warning from Everything Bagel. The video you're about to watch is a review of some of the most shamefully cringe movies ever made. These films were made either carefully or without any effort at all to bring cheesiness and discomfort to the audience watching at home. I will note that these movies are aimed towards a younger audience, given that all of them are rated PG. There will only be 3 movies on this list, so hopefully it's a little bit shorter, thank goodness. Okay, so this series isn't absolutely terrible, and I've only seen, 2 out of the, 4 movies in this series. So, I don't have a lot of, knowledge in this series. I've seen Roderick Rules and Dog Days, respectively. First of all, these movies aren't made in the correct order, which kind of bothers me, because it goes book 1, book 2, book 5, and then book 9. And I don't really like how they did that. I'll only focus my reviews on the ones that I have seen in the series. So, begin with Roderick Rules. It was only okay. It's sometimes kind of funny. I do like this series, so it has part of that. It's sometimes funny, but more often than not, it was cheesy. Some of the characters weren't very faithful to the book. The mom is a little more uptight, I think, and Greg is way, way too involved in girls. In the book, he only has, a small infatuation with one of the girls, when in the movie, he's, absolutely, obsessed with her, and that doesn't do the book justice. The dad seems a little more strict. We'll say that Dog Days is a little bit better. It doesn't seem as cheesy as Roderick Rules, and the humor is actually a little bit less immature and more of basically it feels more like a sitcom, or not a sitcom, but like a comedy movie. The most recent movie, even though I haven't seen it, I will say it does not seem at all like any part of the series. All the main characters are different, and sure, the actors for Greg and Roderick outgrew their part. Greg's character probably hit puberty if he hadn't already, and Roderick became an adult. But they could have kept Steve Zahn as the dad, and I forgot who played the mom. They could have kept those characters, and, even if they were going to switch them out, could they not have made them resemble, the previous actor? I mean, for example, in The Amazing World of Gumball, they constantly had to switch out voice actors for Gumball and Darwin, but they made sure that the actors sounded not too different, so that it's almost like you would not notice that the voice actors changed. It's just, I don't know. The Long Haul, which is the newest one, is my favorite book in the series, and I really think that they didn't do it justice. The thing is this movie series, it's a great book series. They could have totally had the opportunity to make it an excellent movie series, but there's just a few mistakes. Luckily, it is not as bad as these other 2 movies. What was originally a cartoon in the 1980s got the big screen treatment in the 21st century, and we got yet another live-action movie mixed with animated characters. This effect has been applied to other films like Garfield, Hop, and Scooby-Doo, and, I mean, wow, I don't quite like those movies. I was actually going to include the live-action Scooby-Doo. It's one of the worst movie series in this video, but I gave it mercy because it was the lesser 4 evils. But seriously, the only thing the movie has got going for itself is Ultra Instinct Shaggy, am I right? Am I right? Anyways, I haven't seen a lot of the Chipmunks movies. Once again, I think I've only seen, half of them. I saw the first one in the background at a hotel room once, so I wasn't even really paying attention to it. And I've sadly seen Shipwrecked, the 3rd movie, twice. I don't know why I need to see it a second time. I will admit that Shipwrecked is significantly better than the original movie. The original movie's just straight up boring. But that's not really saying much. Alvin and the Chipmunks has kind of this cheesy air to it that you viewers will grow to learn that I hate. The thing I'm not very fond of, though, the most thing I do not like from this movie is their singing. I was never really thrilled by the idea of singing chipmunks, but their voices, their singing. Ah! Oh no, I'd rather have AirPods explode while they're still in my ears, and I don't even want AirPods. It's like nails on a chalkboard through auto-tune. It's absolutely abysmal. Okay, so after I said that Chipwrecked is better, you're probably wondering why. Well, what makes it better? Here's why. The setting is better for one thing. It takes place on a cruise ship and later on a desert island. And I actually really love movies where they're on like a vacation. Also, they didn't go all out on the singing! And don't get me wrong, this movie is still bad with the same cheesy humor. And they also ripped off Castaway in a scene where another castaway befriends various anthropomorphized sports equipment. But that's more of a nitpick. Goodness, why do we even need to talk about this one? You know what? No, I'm leaving. Goodbye. Just kidding, but I really don't want to go this far. So, Fred, the abomination that is Fred. The reason why I cringed during the trailers for Playing with Fire. Don't get me wrong, Playing with Fire looks great, but it's made by Nickelodeon. The same company that made Fred. The fact that John Cena and Keegan-Michael Key are in it is not enough to make it look appealing to me. You know, now that I think about it, John Cena's in Fred, too. Anyways, so Fred is about a nerdy teenage boy named Fred, played by fellow YouTuber Lucas Cruikshank, and how he navigates through life. I've only seen the first one. There's like 4. Why do they need to make 4 out of this series? Like, why? That was enough to do me in. So the first one in the series is about Fred and how his crush moves away. He's literally obsessed. Kind of like Greg Heffley. Anyways, and he thinks that she got kidnapped. What does Fred do, you might ask? He goes on a huge cross-country trip to save her. Yeah, that's right. This movie is a vacation movie, and it's not enough to save it in my eyes. Fred meets a bunch of people along the way, and it begins to kind of feel like Forrest Gump. If everything was wrong with Forrest Gump. At one point, he adopts a squirrel from a pet store thinking it was a dog, and I don't even think a small child would find that funny. And yes, there's the terrible, cheesy humor. Bucket loads of it! Eventually, Fred finds his crush, and the school bully is with her, and they may or may not be a thing. I still haven't figured that out. And now Fred's humiliated, because who wouldn't be, and he drowns his sorrow by throwing a party that only one person comes to. In the end, he builds an unforeseen rapport with the next-door neighbor girl. Yeah, I didn't see that coming, really. Worst thing is, when I was younger, I watched this movie all the time. The 2 reasons I hated my younger self, my high-pitched voice, I watched Fred way too many times. I had no taste in film back then. And I even knew it was trash back then, too. Because sometimes I would watch it when my dad was home because the 5-year-old in me knew just how much he hated it. You know what? Diary of a Wimpy Kid is far from the worst movie in the world. And I guess I can say the same thing for Alvin and the Chipmunks. But Fred the movie is the most absolute, terrible, soul-sucking, abysmal, abhorrent, indecent, revolting, mortifying, ridiculous, cheesiest, cringiest, crappiest, most horrible movie in the world! But here's the thing. It's December. And not just the new year, but the new decade is upon us. And I wanted to review these movies in short, so we can bring back old memories together as a whole human race. And hopefully we can toss these movies into the past where they can disintegrate into memory forever and look forward to the new decade of cinema. Have a good night and happy holidays.